Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode 56, in fact, of Sitting Courtside, just like the first 55 episodes. My name is Dante.
And of course, if you can read, it's at the bottom of the screen. It's your boy, Jerry D.
So last week, me and Jerry here, we gave you our top five point guards and shooting guards going into the upcoming 2024-2025 NBA season, which we are getting so close to starting up. We got to be less than a month away at this point. So we're getting very, very close. This week, we are going to be giving you a top 10 list of NBA forwards and top five centers. The reason why we are doing forwards and not splitting up small and power forwards is because it's too damn confusing.
It's a blurred line.
It's blurred. Me and Jerry threw out like 5 or 6 names at each other. Like, is this guy a small forward? Is he a power forward? Is he a center even? It's too confusing. So we put forwards together, separate. We're morphing together small and power forwards. It just makes things easier, so bear with us. And without further ado, Jerry, how we're going to do this is I'm going to have you give me your number 10 to 6 spot on this forwards list. I'll give mine. We'll go back and forth, but you start out, sir.
Oh, I get to do the honors, boss. All right. So I think the way I'm about to do this, I'm about to just list them off and then give the spiels later. So
Sure.
Ranking from 10 to 6, I got Karl Anthony Towns at 10. I got Paul George at 9. Paolo Banchero at 8. Zion Williamson at 7. And for that 6th spot, I gave it to Jimmy Butler. Now, for each person, Cat, honestly, I was very, very torn. He barely made the cut for me. Primarily, the only reason he made it was just because he could space the floor. He's a solid rebounder. And I think we could probably confidently say that in terms of an offensive skill set, he has all the tools to be a 20-plus point scorer. Playing along with Anthony Edwards obviously takes away some of the touches. So, yeah, averaging around 20 to 22 points a game is probably what we're going to see from him as long as he's playing alongside Ant. But the guy that is an honorable mention on this list for me is probably going to be Pascal Siakam, who was in Toronto. We knew what type of player he was. We saw the role he played for the 2019 championship squad. There's definitely a lot of versatility when it comes down to Pascal being at that spot. And we talked about not being able to differentiate the two between 3 and 4 because most of these guys are kind of tweeners, especially in today's NBA. Pascal literally is the epitome of that. So I was very, very torn. I literally just gave it to Cat because of the skill set. So that's why Cat got the slight nod over Pascal, just because offensively, in terms of consistency, when I know I need a post bucket, a mid-range shot, or a 3-ball, Cat could be that 3-level scorer for me when he's on. So
absolutely,
I gave the spot to Cat, sure. Number 9 was PG for me, mainly because he's in a new situation. It's one of those new faces and new places, right?
Yep.
Where I think he's going to fit the system seamlessly. So I don't think in terms of production, at least from an offensive standpoint, we're not going to see PG go for 25 to 30 points every night. I think it's going to be one of those high teen things to maybe 24, 25 a game. But the way I look at the hierarchy out in Philly, it's Joel Embiid, it's Tyrese Maxey, then PG is going to be that third option. Sure, he could swap in and out with Tyrese Maxey for who's going to be that second option. But I see more of PG's role being more of a playmaker, probably the best version of a playmaker that we're going to see out of him at this point in his career. Because, he's never played with the Joel Embiid kind of player. And the closest thing to a speedster and a scorer like Tyrese Maxey he's played with is probably Russell Westbrook. At least a prime version of him in OKC where, no disrespect to Russ, definitely a better player than what Tyrese is right now. But Tyrese is a better shooter. And that's the piece that is going to help the offense grow even more. So I'm feeling PG's role being that Swiss Army knife. I can still guard the best perimeter player. Hell, since we're talking about 4s and 5s now being 6'8", 6'9", I can guard those guys too if you need me to. So that versatility is why he landed at 9. I wanted to put him higher, but it was a little too hard for me to put him over Paolo at this point. I think Paolo Banchero at 8 is going to have another great year. First-time All-Star last year out there in Indianapolis. Right, yeah. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, one of those, let's just say Indy. But
yes, in Indy.
I think seeing the growth of his game this year is going to be the most entertaining thing. One of the most entertaining things for me to watch personally this season. I've gotten to watch him play every game that he's played in Charlotte. covering the team. Like, I'm pretty sure he's played in all 4 games. First time around, his rookie year, he's okay. Still getting adjusted to the game. But he comes back later in the season and is like seasoned. All of a
Yeah,
sudden, it's like,
you
hey,
can
like,
see the improvements
yeah.
already.
And he came back last year, his All-Star season, and this dude looks like a different player to some degree, added more layers to his game. So I think 8 is comfortable for me right now to put him at.
Sure.
Because I still think there's plenty of growth, but I don't think that he's better than Zion quite yet.
Okay.
And honestly, I was kind of torn about putting Zion at this 7th spot. I think the only reason he didn't land in the top 5 or in the top 6 for me is just because of the injuries that have
Yeah.
sustained his career.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. I
I
agree.
can't. I think from a talent standpoint, yeah, he should definitely probably be top 5 at this point at his position or in the forwards mix. But I really couldn't give him that nod.
It's hard to justify it with the
Yeah,
history that he has. It is hard.
exactly. Like, we know what to expect. This is an all-star caliber player when he's healthy. And New Orleans, we talk about this all the time. Every time we talk about the Pelicans, that they are the 1 seed once upon a time in the West, with him being in good, healthy standing. So he landed at number 7 for me, strictly just because I don't know what type of season to expect. But of course, barring no injuries, this dude is going to be your number 1 option. This dude's going to get you back to the playoffs, hopefully, for their sake. And yeah, I think Zion can do some damage. The 6th spot is literally a respect factor. Jimmy Butler took his team to 2 NBA finals with Bam Adebayo being the 2nd best player, and the rest of them are undrafted or 2nd-round picks. Like, there's not really too much I think I need to elaborate on there. Yeah, he's getting older. Yeah, he missed a lot of games last year. And yeah, the Heat, sure, maybe they underachieved in the postseason last year, but this team still goes at the beat of Jimmy Butler's drum. I think he's still the glue guy. Despite the age, I know what he's capable of producing in the postseason. The regular season, he's on cruise control. We know that.
We know how much he levels up when the
Yeah,
postseason starts. We didn't get to see it this past season because of his
the
injuries.
injuries and
So
such. But that's literally why he's still at 6.
yeah,
Why I didn't put a guy like Pascal or somebody else that might have been deserving of this slot in this thing. So that's my 6 through 10. Now I'm interested to see what you got to say.
Some similar names, some different, and but hey, that's a great 10-6 that you got so far. Let me combat you and give you mine. So going from 10-6, I'm going to name them just like you did, and then I'll go back and kind of give my reasoning. So 10, I have DeMar DeRozan. 9, Jimmy Butler. 8, Zion Williamson. 7, Paul Banchero. And 6, Paul George. So again, some similar guys here, different places. So DeMar DeRozan, the reason why I have him at 10 over guys like Cat or even like a Lauri Markkanen even is because he's 35, but he still is one of the best scorers in the NBA. Talk about pick a guy like go and get me a bucket. Like DeMar DeRozan is going to go and get me a bucket. And I think he is, wherever he goes, he elevates the offense. He was the shining bright spot for the Chicago Bulls. I mean, I'm not going to go down that road again, but he was the best player on the Bulls, amongst Levine, Nikola Vucevic, and such. But, you can rely on him, plays still some of the most minutes in the league at 35 years old, like I mentioned. I think he'll be a huge boost to that Kings offense and, potentially a reason why they, maybe they go deep in the playoffs next year. Who knows? They have the right path. So number 9, Jimmy Butler. Again, same thing with you. It's a respect thing. It's like, yes, did he have a great season last year? No. He had injuries. He missed the playoffs and all that. But when Jimmy Butler is healthy and the playoffs are beginning, whether they are a number 1 seed, an 8th seed in the play-in, doesn't matter. Jimmy Butler transforms into one of the best players in the NBA. That's just a fact. If you watch basketball, you know that that's what happens every year. We didn't get to see it last year. So I have him a little bit lower on my list compared to you. It still is like a respect thing for me, but I do think over the last year, there are a few guys that, ascended higher on this list and kind of jumped over Jimmy Butler. One of those guys, and same thing with you, like you said, like I wish I could have put him higher, but Zion Williamson I have at 8. I think at this point in his career, he could be a top 5 forward, should be a top 5 forward, but it's just the injuries. The injuries is the biggest thing. He had a healthy season last year. He did play a good amount of games last year. He did go past a 65 game threshold rule and stuff, so he was eligible for awards and all that. He looks like he's in great shape, whether he is eating healthy, lifting more weight on Ozempic, whatever it may be, it's working for him. So he looks like he's in the best shape, since he's been in college, since he's been a teenager. So I think another healthy year of him, obviously improving, seeing how he can lead this Pelicans team out in the West when he's healthy. We've seen how good they can be. Now that they have DeJounte Murray, can he be a leader on this team? Can they make it far in the West? Number 7, and this is a guy, Paolo Banchero, that I was also debating with Paul George about who I was going to put ahead of who. I put Paulo at 7 just because out of respect for Paul George, I need to put him higher at right now. Paolo Banchero he's very, very quickly ascending up this ladder of best forwards in the NBA. I think he has a very complete game. He is a very good scorer. He can get you rebounds. He can be your team's best playmaker. He's only getting better. Led his team to the playoffs last year, was a first-time All-Star, his second NBA season. He's just getting better, and I think this year he has a really good group around him in Orlando, has a really good head coach, and I think, just like you, I think we both expect big things out of him in the Magic this year. And he could be higher on this list. By the end of this year, he could be top 5, and I'm that confident in his abilities. And then number 6, Paul George. You mentioned he's not going to be the number 1 guy in Philly. He's going to be fighting, him and Tyrese Maxey are going to be like 2A and 2B. Some nights it's going to be Maxey, some nights it's going to be Paul George. But I do think he still is one of the best or better 2-way forwards in the NBA. When he's healthy, he can defend your team's best player and he can go out and give you 20, 25 points. I'm curious to see the type of role he'll have this year. Like you said, we might see the best playmaking Paul George in his career. We might, with playing behind Tyrese Maxey some games, we might see him pass the ball a lot more. Curious to see how that goes. But since he is still so, crafty, efficient, can give you good things on both sides of the ball, I got to put Paul George at 6.
I like it. I mean, like you said, I think the only names that didn't line up was DeMar DeRozan and Karl-Anthony Towns, but the rest of them are pretty much spot on. DeMar making it as a small forward to me is kind of weird.
Do you look at him as a guard?
I kind of do. I look at him as maybe it's just because of what he was.
He would play power forward for Chicago some games. And I'm just like, again, this is why we just grouped a bunch of this together, because it's all fucking confusing and weird. So, the whole positionless thing, that the narrative that most players are positionless is just showing. It is.
Because, messing with us. Like you mentioned, he played power forward some games for them. I know, but he also played 2 guard most of his career up until he got maybe to San Antonio, which is I don't know, whatever.
It fucks with our brains. Anyways.
Good list.
Jerry, thank you. I appreciate it. Jerry, I would love now to hear your top 5 forwards in the NBA. Now, you can do this, you can give 5 to 1, or if you want to, and make it a little bit more anticipating, you can go 5, 4, 3, 2, whatever you want to do, however you want to lay it out.
Yeah.
But
I'm going to take things slow. I'm going to start out very, very easy.
I would love that.
But number 5, I think for some reason you expect me to say your boy will be at number 5. But no, I have your boy a little higher. I have your boy a little higher here. Number 5 is Kawhi Leonard. Reasons that we all know when healthy. I know. Big ass asterisk on it.
Big asterisk.
Super big, super Target, kind of super Walmart, super center. Kind of big. Kawhi, when healthy, is still one of the best players in the NBA. I get
Absolutely.
It's hard for people to probably rank him this high in amongst all the talent at the 4 spot or at the 3 spot. I understand. But when this dude is healthy, he's still the epitome of what we look at a 2-way player to be.
He is still when he is healthy, he is talk about a guy that just ascends, especially in the playoffs. Kawhi Leonard is that. He still is that guy. We just haven't seen it.
Unfortunately. And that's literally just because of the injuries, just because of let me clarify, more so because of the playoff injuries of where he's been non-existent in these last 4 years for the Clippers when it mattered most. because that's the reason why they keep getting bounced out the first round or the second round some years, because Kawhi hasn't been available. But I'm still, just like we gave Jimmy Butler the respect nod, I'm giving Kawhi the same thing because we know what he could do, what he's capable of. I think not having Paul George, but having James Harden as your sidekick or your running mate, it's probably going to fit a little bit better. James Harden's strictly a guard. Kawhi Leonard's going to roam either the 3 or the 4 spots, but James Harden's one of the best playmakers to ever pick up a basketball. People don't want to give him that credit because he's one of the best scorers to ever pick up a basketball, but he's also a very gifted playmaker. He's an offensive weapon. So I'm actually, I know we shit on the Clippers a lot on this podcast, but I'm actually kind of interested to see how just the 2 of those guys look as the Batman and the Robin kind of look, rather than PG and Kawhi. It was all versatility. He could play the 3, or I could play the 3. He could play the 4, I could play the 4. Now, it's very much, hey, I can put you off ball if you need to, Kawhi. We can get you whatever you need. I'm James Harden, and I approve this message. Like, I'm very much intrigued to see what that fit looks like without trying to force or incorporate a 3rd star. So Kawhi still sticks at the 5 spot for me.
Okay.
Yeah. Number 4 is where your boy comes in. Where we're going to put Taco J. We're going to have Jason Tatum at 4.
Okay.
I know that might be a little controversial to some people that are going to make fun of the old heads that are ahead of him, in my opinion. But y'all can kiss my ass because I really don't give a shit. Like, Jason Tatum's game has evolved immensely from the moment that he stepped into the league, right? Year after year. Oh, he's just a scorer. He's not a bad rebounder. Now I think he's literally great in every facet of the game. He did lose a jump shot randomly in the middle of the playoffs.
He's working on the mechanics. He said he's working on the mechanics.
I hope so, because for his sake, man, I don't want to see any shots go off the backboard.
That shit was busted.
Yes.
That shit was busted in the playoffs.
Yeah, something went terribly wrong mentally for that man in the jump shot. So I'm hoping he did correct that. But either way, this is still the best player on the championship team, right? This is the reason why I look at the Celtics, and I've said it several times before, a team that should win at least 2 to 3 more championships. They should walk out of the 2020s with possibly 4 championships. Is how I'm kind of picturing. And it all starts and stops with Jason Tatum. Yes, Jaylen Brown is great. He won a Finals MVP. He did all the little things that Tatum was struggling to do kind of to some degree, which was mostly just put the ball in the hoop from deep. But you literally could have given that Finals MVP to Tatum since he led the team in total points, assists, rebounds. Like, this is the guy that does it all for you. So Tatum is still ascending in that spot, but I couldn't put him above the other 2 guys. Which, you know who number 3 is.
Yep. Give it to me.
Kevin Durant is still better than Jason Tatum, in my humble opinion. It's hard for me to envision a world where guys are really serious about Tatum is that much better than Kevin Durant. Like, I still look at there's not a huge gap between the 2 at this point in their careers. But KD still scores the easiest out of any player in NBA history, probably.
Absolutely.
This dude has Devin Booker as a weapon. And I know Bradley Beal had a slow start, but there's still not going to be a whole lot of attention on KD. Yes, he's going to be the best player. He's going to be treated like such. But you can't slack off on the other 2 guys out in Phoenix. They're still buckets in their own right. But KD literally still does a lot of things on the defensive side of the ball, mainly weak side blocking, mainly post-defense help. When I look at KD just being that smart, high IQ level player, which Tatum will get there, but even at 35, 36, it's hard for me to say Tatum is definitively better than KD. I can't do it yet. It's maybe that's us, me holding on to our old generation of what we grew up watching to some degree, but I'm not there yet. There yet.
That's fine. It's your list, Jerry. It's your list.
Indeed. And that's why it being my list, the other old head, the other OG in front of him is obviously LeBron Ramon James, who I've said it several times, maybe in personal conversations with us, maybe on this podcast, that not only do I think he's one of the best forwards in the league, I still think he's one of the best players in the league. Until he retires, LeBron will always be top 5 to me. And
I may have said that on and off camera to me.
Yes, I literally, I can't get off of it. He still does everything better than everybody else, it seems like. When you talk about an all-around player, LeBron is literally the definition of what you think of. And I get it. This dude's about to be 40. I understand.
It's insane. It's
I don't think
insane.
anybody's willing to gamble that LeBron is going to fall off. I feel it coming. I know it's happening.
It's like the tweet. I forget who it was, but someone's like, "Thank God LeBron's like entering like past his prime now. Like this can't be going on for much longer." And it's like here we are, 6, 7 years later.
Still going crazy.
Yeah,
Still,
it's insane.
honestly,
One of a kind.
I've contemplated. I literally was about to put him at 1. I shit you not. I really thought about
I
it.
wouldn't have put it past you if you did. I
I
wouldn't
thought
have
about
put it past you. I
it.
don't know how I would have thought about it, but I wouldn't have put it past you.
Look, I had to put the bias aside. I'm not a big LeBron guy. I'm a all Kobe all day. That's my goat. That's my guy. But LeBron has transcended what we look at when we think about athletes and longevity. Just like Tom Brady did, right? In
Right.
the NFL.
I
Like
say him and Brady.
everybody kind of thought that when Brady went to the Bucks, man, this dude's gonna. You saw his last year in New
Washed.
England.
This is Hakeem in Toronto
Yeah,
type of
yeah.
situation.
His
Patrick
last
Ewing in Orlando.
Brady's last year in New England sucked. But that's because N'Keal Harry was his number 1 receiver.
Yeah. Listen,
Like
we can carve out a good amount of time to talk about the Patriots one day.
different
Believe me, I
different
can.
story for
But
a different day.
different story, different day. But yeah, no, people were not expecting him to turn up the way that he did.
LeBron is
Yeah.
still upper echelon talent. Anyway, on to number 1, I think he should be number 1 on your list. He better be number 1 on your list. Is Giannis Antetokounmpo. Just when I
Yeah,
think
I mean,
about
what
two-way
else?
players in today's NBA, he's probably the best one. When I think about dominance in today's NBA, I think he is the most dominant player today on both sides of the ball. And I get it. There's sometimes he gets put into switch situations where he fails to guard a perimeter defender. He gets toasted, gets blown by. But he's so freaking athletic that he gets back into the picture and just would cling it off the glass. Like,
Oh yeah.
hey man, Giannis also averaged a career high in assists last year, so playmaking is actually improving year by year. And I think the injuries to some degree in the postseason, more in particular, kind of hindered him a little bit. But he still managed to play 70+ games last year. I am looking forward to seeing the continuation of what the
The Greek feat.
the Greek freak. That kind of makes
Yeah.
sense too. I don't either way, whatever you want to call him. This dude is still the best forward, power forward, small forward, wherever you want to put him at. I think the versatility speaks for itself. And again, the playmaking aspect of things last year was probably the biggest improvement that I saw watching Bucks games. So I feel pretty good about my whole list. I feel pretty. Maybe this 10 through 6. Yeah, you could swap some guys out. You could move some guys around. I'm not mad at that. But my top 5, ain't nobody touching that top 5. But you tell me what you got in yours, and we'll see if we're in alignment here.
Hey man, that's a solid list. It's your list at the end of the day. No one can tell you if you're right or wrong. It's your opinion. So,
You know why? Because I don't give a shit.
but you know what? I'll give you my list. I'll give you my 1 to 5. I will say all the players are the same. I would imagine you guys would have thought that would have been the case. At my number 5, I also have Kawhi Leonard. When he's healthy, guys, I swear to you, he is one of the best players in the league, period, not just forwards. We haven't been able to see it much the last few years, but Kawhi Leonard is special. Still one of the best, if not the best, two-way player in the league. He's a game changer. He is a guy that can go into any team and you are a championship contender. We saw what he did in Toronto. Granted, It was 5 years ago. Goes to a team he didn't want to go to, wins a championship, leaves. That's cold. That's
OG.
sick. That's sick. So Kawhi Leonard is that guy when he is healthy. He had played 68 games last season against the postseason injuries that really shut him down, and we couldn't see that postseason Kawhi. But when he's healthy, he is top 5 for sure. This is where it gets a little different, Jared. This is where our list starts to differentiate. You put my guy Jason Tatum at 4. I do not have Jason Tatum at 4. I have your guy, LeBron James, at 4. Everything you said, I am not disagreeing with. At his old age, at his age of 39, he is still one of the best players in the NBA, and it is astonishing what he can still do at his old age, turning 40 this upcoming season. He's playing with his son. Like, that is insane to think about. And he is coming off an Olympic run, a gold medal, proving that he won a FIBA MVP. Like, he can still go. It's just, I think there are three guys that can also go, and I'd put ahead of him. If this was a few years ago, probably as a top three player or a top three forward in the NBA. But I just give these other guys a slight edge for other reasons. LeBron James, like you said, think of all around player. Think of LeBron James. He can still do everything. But I have him here at 4. You can move him around. Again, your list is your list. Everyone has their opinions.
I'm not judging.
I have mine at 4.
I'm not judging.
3, at number 3, I think this past year there was the swap, putting KD at 3. Putting Kevin Durant at 3, Jerry. Averaged 27 points a game last year. Aging like fine wine. One of the purest, greatest scorers that this league has ever seen. I just think Tatum, who I'm putting at 2, shocker, just edges him out slightly with his all-around game. If you were talking about KD's defense, I agree. KD is phenomenal help side, can do great things on the defensive end. Uses his wingspan, his God-given height and length to his to his abilities. But I think Tatum is stronger. I think he can do a lot of fantastic things on the defensive end as well. I think he is one of the better two-way players in the league.
Absolutely.
And I think KD is a better scorer. I think he just has things that you can't teach. Like, again, like his length and wingspan, like no one can block him. But I think Tatum I don't know how many weaknesses he has on offense. It's not many. He does have to fix his jump shot. He did have that mechanic issue that he says that he is working on. And he did have a slow, postseason. You said like he led the team in points, rebounds, assists, all this and that, but he still did have a slower not slower postseason. Maybe it's like quieter in the sense of like he didn't have many high scoring games because his percentages were so low. He wasn't shooting well. But that's where Jaylen Brown stepped in. Obviously, he wins Finals MVP, so he made up for where Tatum was.
I could be wrong, but he still averaged like 30 for the Eastern Conference Finals series.
He did, yeah. No, I mean he did. I think it was one of those things where as the playoffs got on, he was getting better, type of thing. Jaylen Brown won Finals MVP, very deserving of it. Not to discredit him, but Tatum, I think he has all the tools of being not just the best forward, but potentially the best player in the NBA. And I think he's still getting better. He's 26 years old. I expect another leap. I think he is more motivated than ever. I know it sounds crazy because you just won a championship, but with all the shit with the Olympics, all the stuff with being everything that has gone on this summer, I think he should be more motivated than ever. That's why I put him at number 2. And number 1, yeah, I mean, this was easy.
Unanimous.
It's unanimous. It's Giannis Antetokounmpo. If you don't have Giannis number 1 on your list, it's probably because whoever is number 1 on your list is like your favorite player or something like that, which I'm not. Everyone has their opinion. Everyone has their list. But Giannis should be number 1 on everyone's list. He's a freak. He's a Greek freak, actually. Probably the best two-way player in the league. Most dominant player in the league. I say him and Embiid are probably up there as the most dominant player. It's just he is the Bucks. If he's not there, they're not doing anything. And whatever team he goes to, if he's on any team, they are an instant contender because of how good he is. He's already arguably, I mean, you can put him, I'd say he's probably more considered a power forward in today's NBA. He's probably already one of the best power forwards of all time, if we're being completely honest.
He's up there. He's up there for sure.
At this point, how much he has accomplished, how young he is definitely up there. But yeah, that's an easy number 1, Giannis Antetokounmpo.
I'll tell you what. I don't mind swapping out KD and Tatum on my list. Like putting Tatum at 3 over KD.
Right.
Because when I actually do sit and think about it, I think from a scoring standpoint, KD edges out. From a defensive standpoint, Tatum does edge out because he's a better perimeter defender, and KD's never really been a lockdown defender out there. Tatum is probably closer to that than what KD is. So, yeah, I give him that. Playmaking, kind of look at it as a tie.
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty close. I think it's one of those things where like Tatum's getting better at it, but out of like the scoring, defending, rebounding, playmaking is catching up to the rest.
Yeah, it's getting up there. Like, he still averaged around 7 assists in the finals or whatever it was. So, dude's getting there, but I don't know. Maybe from an IQ standpoint, I got to give it to KD by default. But
Of course.
there are some things I can give to Tatum where I could understand maybe swapping those two on my list. So having Tatum at 3, you convinced me to some degree. Like I don't mind swapping those guys.
It worked.
Yeah, but I'm not. I'm
Hey,
still
come
not
on.
going to have him number 2. I'm
Oh
not
no,
putting him number 2.
listen,
That's not happening.
I'm not gonna fight with you over LeBron. That's fair.
I just can't. That's
That's
all.
fair.
I just can't. Not
All
yet.
right. Hey, it worked. Hey, me getting you to bump Tatum up on your list is an accomplishment. That's all I could ask for. So that works for me.
It's completely subjective.
Absolutely.
To some degree, I'm okay with giving Tatum that slight nod. Oh, just a little nod over KD.
Just a little.
Realistically, this whole top 5-ish list, you could probably swap any of these guys and put them anywhere.
Absolutely.
Things go,
it's a tough list. There's a lot of great talent in the NBA. You can argue guys are better than others in whatever category, but that is who we believe are top 10 forwards in the NBA. And before we move on to the centers, make sure to put in the comments who you believe are the top 10 forwards in the NBA. Who is your top 5, top 10, number 1, number 10? Let us know down below. Okay, let's move on to centers. Jerry, I'll start with this one, okay? I'll give my top 5 here. I'll let you sit back and listen while I give my list. Why last time I sat back. Get comfy, crack your knuckles, put your feet up, do whatever you got to do. Take a sip of water, coffee, tequila, whatever's in there. Doesn't matter to me. All right, top 5. Number 5. Now, a lot of people are like, this guy could be number 1. He could be top 3. He can be this and that. I can't justify putting him ahead of certain guys yet. I'm putting Victor Wembanyama at number 5. I can already hear it now. Like, oh, he's the best center. He's the best player in the NBA. No. At the end of this year, I think he could be ahead of half of the guys on this list. Absolutely. But we are coming off of a rookie season, which, yes, he had a phenomenal rookie season. 21 points, 10 rebounds, almost 4 blocks, almost won Defensive Player of the Year. He could go down as the greatest player to ever touch a basketball. Genuinely. That's what we're looking at here. But we are going off of 1 year. Yes, he is a phenom. He is an alien. I can't justify putting him ahead of NBA centers that have been doing this for longer, that are, they cemented themselves as some of the league's best centers. I can't put a second-year player ahead of them quite yet, out of respect. I think Wemby can be as high as 3 at the end of this year, but for now I have him at number 5. Number 4, one of the guys that I could not put Wemby over yet is Domantas Sabonis on the Sacramento Kings. Triple-double king. Yeah, the new triple-double king last year. Triple-double king. Say that 5 times fast. That is a tongue twister. He averaged almost 20 points, 14 rebounds, 8 assists last year. He is the centerpiece to that Kings team. Yes, De'Aaron Fox is amazing, and he is a guy that can give you 20, 30 a night for sure, but Sabonis is the glue guy. He is their best playmaker. He can be their top scorer. He'll get you 20 rebounds a night if you need be. He is a very valuable player. He was in the MVP running last year at one point. I think he finished top 10 in voting last year. So he is a very, very valuable player. You know what you're getting out of him. Very efficient. So have Sabonis at 4. Number 3, I have Jerry, your other boy here, Anthony Davis. I've said this before on the show. I've said this before off camera. Healthy Anthony Davis is not only one of the best players in the league, like today. I think Anthony Davis is one of the most gifted, talented big men ever, at least for his position, a power forward, center, whatever. He can do so many amazing things as a big man, so versatile. It's just the injuries that have really held him back over the years. He's had a healthy season last year, so I'm hoping that we continue to trend in that direction, 70-plus games a year. I would love to see him win a Defensive Player of the Year, because I feel like that would be a nice little
icing on the cake.
A little icing on the cake for a Hall of Fame career. Like, he's a Hall of Famer. He's going to go into the Hall of Fame one day regardless, but that Defensive Player of the Year would look really nice on that resume.
It's just so satisfying because he deserves it.
He does. I
want him to get it.
Unfortunately, we're in a time period where we have a guy that I just talked about, an alien, Victor Wembanyama, that came in second as a rookie. That, I hate to say it, but probably is going to get more. If I can see him winning it over Anthony Davis, but I would love to see Anthony Davis win the Defensive Player of the Year at some point. Number 2, now listen, 1 and 2, I know we have the same 1 and 2. It could be listed differently. If you're making a center list top 5, your 1 and 2 should be the same. Maybe. I don't know what face that is, but these two you can make a fair argument of why either could be number 1, but this is what I have. At number 2, I have Joel Embiid on the Philadelphia 76ers, arguably the most dominant player in the NBA, averaged 35 points a game last year before his season ended. He is, the best, one of the best bigs. He can do everything on offense, not everything on offense, but he is just so dominant, knows how to play the game to his advantage. We're getting to the free throw line, backing guys up using his strength and just God-given height and power. And he's a very good player. Just can't stay healthy. If he was healthy, I think he could very well have been number 1 on this list. But injuries really have derailed his career, kind of holding him back from potentially making it to an NBA Finals. Still hasn't made it even to the conference finals. Maybe that changes this year, adding Paul George to the team. But I think Embiid is the second best center behind Nikola Jokic. I can talk about him if you want me to, but I think everyone knows why he's number 1, 3-time MVP, reigning MVP, triple double, So that's my top 5 center. That guy, the Taco Bell guy, Taco Bell.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my top 5 centers right there.
I'm just gonna let the cat out the bag right now. Our top 3 is exactly the same. Okay, I'll just go ahead and get that out the way for the sake of time. Yes, AD's 3, Embiid 2, Jokic 1. But I'll have a bold claim and say if Embiid does play let's say at least 68 to 70 games this year, I believe Embiid will get the MVP again, strictly because he's a two-way player.
I'm not going to argue with you on that one.
I'd love to put Embiid at number 1, but yeah, given the trend of when we did the forwards list, it's kind of hard to put Kawhi higher. It's kind of hard to put anybody that's been injury prone, like Joel has been, and hasn't been able to get to certain heights in those postseason runs. So, cat's out the bag. That's my top 3.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's anyone making a centers list. It probably should be pretty similar in that sense.
That's clear cut. It's clear cut. But what I got to say, our bottom, our 4 and 5 spots, those are different.
Okay,
those are pretty different.
There is one guy I did leave out.
Yes.
Yes. It was hard, but let's
I personally think that Bam Adebayo is better than Domantas Sabonis. When he comes in at 5 for me.
Okay.
I think that, yes, Sabonis offensively is as good as it gets. He's clearly the engine in Sacramento. I get De'Aaron Fox is kind of considered the head of the snake just because he's a guard and especially a speedier one that can push the tempo of the offense. But Sabonis is not quite the computer or the system that we see at a Jokic or at a LeBron in their heads. But damn, Sabonis is a really high IQ player.
Yes.
That honestly, it's one of the Kings. He makes the Kings for me one of the more enjoyable league pass teams for me to watch.
Oh, they were a blast to watch when they were the third seed in the West a few years ago. That was a fun team.
They're fun. They're great. But Bam Adebayo for me is, we talked about Swiss Army knives. This is another guy I think should technically be a 4 rather than a 5. I think he plays out of position now. But with all that being said, he's 6'10", 6'11", or whatever it is, and can still literally guard 1 through 5. I don't think there's a lot of guys that can do that, maybe outside of Anthony Davis, but Wemby,
another guy that could be a defensive player of the year candidate every single year and should maybe win one. But
I think that part of his game sticks out more than me than Sabonis getting, triple doubles or dishing things out. Because Bam Adebayo is not a bad playmaker either. But when you're surrounded by guys that aren't often available, like Tyler Hero has been pretty injury prone. Terry Rozier missed a lot of the season with a sprained neck and a few other things. And Jimmy Butler, obviously, we talked about earlier, is just, I see Bam's game offensively not being that far off from what Sabonis is. I think Sabonis is a better passer for sure, but in terms of scoring around the inside or hitting a mid-range shot, those two are pretty much the same in terms of scoring. Playmaking, you give Sabonis a slight edge, but Bam's not bad at it. And defensively, Bam just blows him out the water.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Definitely
if
a
you,
much better defensive player.
yeah, and I'm sure you know me enough by now after doing this podcast for what is this, 56 episodes in now? I value two-way players to the utmost respect. And that's
Yeah.
what Bam is. And that's why he is over Domantas Sabonis, who I'd probably have at 6 maybe at that spot. The 4 spot, I do think Wembanyama's already better than Bam. I think Wembanyama's already better than Sabonis.
It's tough. I mean,
Yeah.
how could you not? It's so tempting putting him there.
I get your logic to the argument that you made for Sabonis. It was profound. I understand where you're coming
Thank
from.
you.
I get it, but we also can't deny what we're seeing. You convinced me about the Tatum thing. I'm going to try to convince you why Wembanyama is better
Right.
than Sabonis already.
Please.
Just, again, two-way players, I hold in the highest regard. So the fact that Wembanyama, you said it, could win DPO-wise really a lot more, maybe multiple within this decade alone. We don't even have to talk about the defense. Yeah, he's not a great perimeter defender, but he has that Giannis ability, right? Freakish length, freakish athleticism. It doesn't matter if you beat me off the dribble. I can still contest from behind. In terms of offensive consistency, a guy in his rookie season came into the league, and I get there's a lot of 20-point scorers these days, but being the fact that he's 7'4", 18, 19 coming into the league, getting pushed around on the block a lot of times, had to settle for a lot of tough mid-range jumpers. But we talked about KD being probably the most unguardable player in NBA history. Wemby has that potential.
He's going to climb that. Right. He's going to climb that ladder.
We
for
can
sure.
definitely already say that he is.
100.
Once he gains the consistency, once he gets to his spots easier this year, which playing with the point guard in San Antonio, I think we're going to see. I am confident that Wembanyama will have a better season than both Bam and Sabonis, who you put ahead of him. And that's it's just hard. I can't really envision a world where Sabonis is really going to put up game-breaking numbers. Don't get me wrong. Damn near averaging a triple-double is awesome. It's great. And I know what he does for that team. But damn, better than Wembanyama?
Well, you're talking about what that he will put up better numbers than that. And I do believe that he will this upcoming season. But right now.
Yes, right now. I'm still there. Right now.
I hear you. Listen, out of respect to the OGs, to the guys. Listen, Sabonis is about to be on Netflix's new starting 5 series, okay? I got to give him some love. I got to put him at my 4. I got to keep him at my 4. Very convincing argument. Very convincing argument. You almost had me.
Hey.
Wemby will be higher on this list when we do it again next year.
Wemby will be higher on this list after you see 10 games in the NBA season.
You might be right. September 25th, though, keeping Wemby at 5.
Ain't no way.
Keeping him at 5.
Whatever you say, boss.
Staying pat, holding my ground.
Hey, man. When a guy can impact the game in as many facets as Wembanyama can already, I get it. The only thing Sabonis does better is pass the ball. Maybe rebound, but 7'4" with that production, he's a guard trapped in a center's body.
It's unbelievable. Great talent. I'm sure he'll be in the top 3 at the end of the season. But let us know in the comments who you have as your top 5 centers if you agree that Victor Wembanyama has surpassed centers like Sabonis and Bam Adebayo already. Who you have as your best center? Is it Embiid? Or is it Jokic? Let us know in the comments. And I think that's all we have today, Jerry. Do you have anything you want to throw in before we sign off here?
Shout out to Aja Wilson, unanimous MVP of the WNBA, 3-time MVP. But I'm really kind of pissed because I have to watch the Liberty and the Aces play in the second round, not the finals. I mean, sign me up either way. I'm glad we get to see the rematch from last year's finals matchup. But I think a part of me wants to fix the WNBA's playoff system. I would not mind it being a traditional Eastern Conference, Western Conference. I know there's not enough teams right now, but adding a couple expansion teams, maybe we could start to, mix it in a pot of East versus West, but some of the teams aren't up to par. Maybe it'll be a blowout in the first round. I don't know. There's just a lot of things that I want to change because the Liberty and the Aces, I'm thinking this is a finals matchup. The Aces struggled.
Absolutely.
They struggled a little bit in the regular season. That's why they ended up being a lower seed than the Liberty. I think they're like a 4 seed or something. But either way, excited for Aja versus Stewie, Ionescu versus Chelsea Gray, Kelsey Plum, John Quill. It should be a fun series. If you guys aren't watching WNBA basketball, just know those women are a lot smarter than some of those men that you see on the court in the NBA. Guaranteed. So tune in, check it out, man. That's my send-off shot today.
Shout out to the WNBA playoffs. They're on the like you mentioned with like new expansion teams and stuff like that. Definitely on the definitely ascending right now. Definitely ascending very quickly. So check out WNBA playoffs. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you are here on YouTube. Put in the comments again who your top 10 forwards, top 10 or top 5 centers, are. If you're an audio only listener, make sure to give us a 5-star review rating, all that good stuff. Check out our shorts content here on YouTube as well. Forgot to mention that earlier. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. If you aren't, I don't know what you're doing. But if you do that now, if you aren't. And until episode 57, peace out.
Shabba!